Hello everyone, welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry. I'm a blue dot in a red state utilizing tarot to help us navigate these very interesting times we have going on here in the United States. So I'm really glad that you're here and welcome. And if I could just ask real quick for a moment, if you could like and subscribe, it helps me grow my channel and I really appreciate it. And maybe you've been watching videos for a while and you haven't subscribed yet. And if you don't want to, that is really okay. You don't have to subscribe. You don't even have to like, but I'm just saying that if you wanted to, I would really appreciate it. So thank you. The focus of today's reading is going to be about tacos and tariffs. So I did a reading on tariffs, a month or so, whenever all this started. And I haven't really wanted to do the follow-up because it's taco. I mean, Trump always chickens out is what that is. And if you have not seen that video of that reporter asking him that in the Oval Office, go watch that. That is just fantastic. I think she deserves a Pulitzer Prize for asking that question. He did not like it, but the rest of us did. So, anyway, it goes back and forth. And, today we're tariffing penguins, and maybe tomorrow, I don't know, maybe the murder hornets, I don't know. So every once in a while I wonder how are those guys doing. Anyway, back to this. So we had the ruling that that federal court, it was a special court just for like international trade, has ruled these tariffs cannot go into effect. You have overstepped your authority. Okay, now as I was getting ready to record, another ruling, the Trump administration appealed that, and that appeals court has temporarily paused the lower court's ruling. Not on the merits of the case, but they just put a pause on it and said, we need to look at the merits of this. So they want to kind of look at it themselves. So what I want to do is I want to look at just what's going on with the tariffs. Are we going to continue this back and forth with that? I mean, the other countries now see that our courts are saying there's no merit, there's no legal basis for this, so there's not going to be a lot of motivation for them to negotiate. And honestly, some of the negotiations were like, it was basically Trump creates a problem that only he can have the solution to, and the solution is an agreement that's pretty much exactly the exact same thing that you started with. Okay, so this whole tariff thing is unnecessary cruelty to small businesses and to the American people. And that's, what he can do it. And he is on a big old power trip right now with that. So what I want to look at is what's ultimately going to happen with the tariffs. Is he going to continue to taco on that? Are the courts going to put a stop to it? How are the other countries feeling about this now? Just kind of looking at that whole thing. I will start with a base reading, like I always do, of tariffs, and I think I kind of want to look at the courts, since that's kind of the thing that's been coming up the most here recently. So as always, this is for entertainment purposes only, and we're looking at the courts and the tariffs. We had the lower court say, or it was a federal court, say nope, and appeals court has said we're going to put a pause on the nope, just to kind of take a look at this ourselves. So what is the ultimate outcome going to be with the courts as it relates to the tariffs? Okay, and with that, going forward, so let's see what else kind of comes up here. The here and now. Going forward, let's see what is going forward. And rejoicing. This really could be the Trump administration. They're, pretty happy that they can go forward with those tariffs as of now. That original court ruling said that they could do no more than like 15% for 150 days. And then they would have to go to Congress, and then Congress would have to do, legislation for that. So right now, as it stands, yes, they can go forward, and they're happy with this, the Trump administration. The world card. This is a card of achievement. This is a card of it's also a card of something coming to an end. Like, this is the last card in the major arcana, and this is like you have arrived, you've accomplished, you've done all that there is to do. Okay. And that is the options. So the options are, he's got a lot of options. You know, like you could actually negotiate in good faith. He never does anything in good faith. So this is also kind of giving me with these cards, and if we're looking at the Trump administration, you know, king of the world. You know, I can go forward. I'm the emperor. I can do whatever I want because I am king of the world. You know, and is he that narcissistic? Yes. Yes, he is. The past experiences are people rising up, and I would like to note, and I saw this being noted elsewhere, that this was not big business that was, you know, bringing these court cases. These were small businesses. These were small businesses that were being harmed by these tariffs. So if you need another reason to shop local small business, there you go. Because and really, they're the ones standing up and fighting, and we need to support those businesses. Okay. So that's what this is. The judgment card, people rising up, the horn of truth has been sounded, and those small businesses are letting us know just how, I mean, we all know how detrimental it is. But that it's the small businesses, not it's not the oligarchs that are going to save us. The recent influences are just how much of a disappointment this is. And these small businesses, all of us were really hoping on these courts to be able to stop this. So the court ruling is, that second court ruling that we got is disappointing that they paused it. But there's still hope here. So hopefully whenever they get into the specifics of this case, that they actually will uphold that lower court's ruling. And the potential money. And this is a card of you've achieved, you've arrived. That's what tens are. Tens are the end of a journey, and this is like that financial journey. And so I'm kind of wondering, I'm going to put more cards out on that. Because if this is coming from the Trump administration, you know, he's like, oh, this is going to make our country so wealthy. And it's like, no, it isn't. It's not. It is not going to make us wealthy. So what is this 10 of Pentacles here? Our country, decisions being made. These are the courts making decisions for our country, and the MAGA here, and is kind of behind the push for this. So with this, I'm gonna. This is almost like the Trump administration saying we have to do this to make our country great, and that has been their whole premise. Okay, so yeah, if I'm looking at this. This is how the Trump administration is feeling. They are going to really be exploiting this temporary win in the courts. The courts did not rule on the merits of the case. They just said, we're going to put a pause on this so that we can look at it. Okay. So what will this appeals court, the appellate court, what will they ultimately rule? Will they rule in favor of the Trump administration or the business owners? Okay. How will the appellate court rule? They put an end. They will put an end to. They put. Oh wow! They put an end. This is like something ends, something ends. They put an end to this. A happier new beginning. Money, about money. These small businesses, and they really get into there and they start looking at the evidence and the illusions. You know, it's like everything that the Trump administration says is a lie. And so they really get in there and look at that, and a happier, I think they're going to have 2 court rulings saying the same thing. Okay. So the Trump administration, they can take that win now, but I think that appellate court is going to uphold the lower court's ruling. And then it's just going to go to the Supreme Court after that. I mean, if this court rules against them, it'll just go to the Supreme Court. Either way, this will be going to the Supreme Court. So there'll be appeals. What will the Supreme Court ultimately take this? And with that, looking out into the future, the bickering, the fighting, and I don't know that the Supreme Court's going to take this. There's not a lot of action cards here. This is like the small businesses, you know, take the win. There's some bickering and fighting, but ultimately changes in messaging. This is all about messaging. This really isn't about the courts. So once again, you know, is the And it could be just that the Supreme Court upholds the lower courts rulings here, because I'm not seeing any action taken by the Supreme Court. Will the Supreme Court take any action as it relates to this? Mad King Don is going to ask, but I don't think that the Supreme Court takes it. Okay, that, or if they do, it won't be until, they're on break and they don't come back until October. So there's nothing here saying that the Supreme Court takes this anytime soon, and that the appellate court is going to ultimately uphold the lower court's ruling. They just kind of wanted to take this and have a moment. They weren't just going to issue a judgment right then and there. It would have been nice if they would have upheld that while it goes through the appeals process. But yeah, that court didn't rule that way. But ultimately, I think they will. And I don't know. The Supreme Court doesn't. There was nothing here saying that they were going to take that. So, are we still having tacos? I think so. The other countries are seeing this, and I don't know that they're going to be real. Let me ask that. How are the other countries going to feel about what's going on in the courts and, the tariffs? What are other countries going to, how is this going to affect the other countries? That's funny that is the card on bottom, because it's like, they know, back and forth, they know they just have to wait. Okay, so what ultimately is going to happen, or how do the other countries, what's going to happen with other countries with what they're seeing? Okay, with other countries, it's up in the air. Negotiations are up in the air. The negotiations were up in the air anyway, because they know that all they have to do is wait. That's what China's been doing. They just have to wait. You get working on something, these other countries, they may kind of be working on, these negotiations, but there's not anything, they're working on it. They know the Trump administration lies. They know they can't be trusted. They know that they want to win at all costs. This is how the other countries feel. I consistently get these two cards, with the Trump administration, lying and stealing, foxes loose in the hen house, making deals that's going to benefit him. We just saw that whole Saudi Arabia, Middle East, real estate deal thing and plane thing that happened where he's enriching himself. And the other countries, they see this. So they know that, all you have to do is placate Trump in some way. Maybe you offer him a Trump tower and you can get a better tariff deal. And we see that, and it's being reported. And other countries are like, they know when they need to walk away. They can put those swords down and they don't have to engage right now. Now, what I got here is, are they engaging? Yeah, somewhat. They're going to keep the lines of communications open, but they also know that they can negotiate a better deal, because they know that our courts are going to uphold, the laws in our country. The betrayal. Okay, betrayal to our country. That's what this, Trump administration has done. And the potential here is being blocked. Yeah. So as far as the other countries are going, they're going to keep the line of communications open. They know that they can now get a favorable trade deal. Okay, all they have to do is kind of wait it out, because everything else here is about the Trump administration. And this is, they lie and steal. You don't have to fight them on this. You can just, kind of walk away, because this is nothing but a betrayal, and they're being blocked. Okay, so that's what I'm getting with this. As far as, there hasn't been a court date, that I know of, that I've seen, because as I said, by the time this reading is posted, there may be a court date, and that's something that, I'll watch for sure. But on the tariffs, man, it's taco season, where it's just going to be Trump always chickens out. Now that he knows about that, I don't know that he's going to be as willing to chicken out, but it's this back, and forth, this and that, the tariffs are this, the tariffs are that. Maybe I want to make my oligarch friends happy, and we're going to do some market manipulation in there. Sometimes you don't need cards. You could just look at the pattern and see what's going on there. But ultimately, I do think that the courts are going to step in and they're going to put a stop to this. Okay, and by stepping in and putting a stop to this, sure, we mean tariffs. It could be the entire administration at this point. I mean, would we be surprised? Nope. We wouldn't. Every time I get a news notification on my phone, I'm like, well, what fresh hell is this? Maybe one of these days it won't be a fresh hell and it'll just be this administration going away. So anyway, with that being said, that's kind of what I'm getting today in today's readings. And so thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I'll probably put that original tariffs reading up here and subscribe. Also, like and share. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much, and I will catch you on the next reading.